Hi, this is Carl, and I made a busy board video a while back and then needed to make another busy board for my daughter's house. So she's got this area that is, dividing the living room from the hallway and the dogs and the rest of the house. And so it's, you've seen these like little plastic fence things, right? So the first challenge is it's got to fit on that. So I created a board, again, 1/4" MDF, designed to fit on one panel of that little mini fence. But also it could be taken off and put somewhere else. So I just used a dog collar, like the big extra large dog collar that I bought at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. So this thing is huge. Like if you meet the dog whose head this slips over, you must run. Do not walk in the other direction. Anyway, so I also put a great deal more time and attention into making sure that nothing on the back sticks out more than just a tiniest bit, the smallest amount possible. There were a few challenges, but I think we did a pretty decent job. And I'm going to touch up the paint just a little where things came through. When I did need to put a wood screw that went all the way through the MDF, I then ground it down. I just took a little Dremel tool with a cheap little grinding attachment and went me until it was gone. So the back is in pretty good shape. And these up here are literally designed just so that there's no pressure against all of the board. The one thing that spins and a couple of things that might make it fall forward or whatever. So, but this is literally a dog collar, so it attaches and you can open it, attach it, tighten it up as needed, and it should stay in place and the baby doesn't have to worry about this side of the busy board. Now, let's take a look at the front. I had a couple of extra challenges on this one, starting with the fact that they wanted to have puzzle pieces for the baby's name so that she could take her name in and out of the board. So, problem is, baby's exactly 1 year old and a few weeks. She doesn't have the dexterity yet to do that. So I wanted to get the puzzle pieces with the letters for the name, but then I wanted a bigger piece for that to go onto, and so I thought, okay. So what I did is I attached letters to a piece of MDF, cut that out in a shape, and then cut out a shape for it to fit into. So that's big enough that she can handle it. It's going to take some time, but that's what it's all about, right? She's got to learn that. Now, I will zoom into the video, see if we can take a picture of the back of this. It's got an incredibly strong magnet, which is great if you have the leverage of a cabinet door that you're going to use to unattach it. But if it's just a piece of wood connected to the magnet, it would be very difficult for anyone as an adult to pull that straight out, let alone little kids. So I said, okay, well, let me get a smaller piece of metal and a smaller piece of metal and a smaller piece of metal so that I can see where does that metal match the amount of pull that I think a 1 year old is going to be able to have, let's say within the next 6 months. Well, the metal that I used got smaller and smaller and smaller until it became literally a very tiny screw where just the head sticks out enough to attach to that magnet. The next thing is the ultimate challenge. I wanted to try something I've never done before, and so I put it behind this little hidden panel. I used Mod Podge to take a printed picture and transfer it to a piece of wood. I had a stack of really thin pieces of wood that were maybe 5 inches by 5 inches. I printed the picture on cheap paper, and I'll tell you why that is in a minute. Cheap paper, color printer on highest quality. So the goal is we're going to dump as much ink as possible onto that cheap paper. Now, then we let it dry, make sure that the it's dry. Then I took the Mod Podge and I took a foam brush and put as much Mod Podge as I could get on it, like really a thick coat of Mod Podge, and then turned it over, laid it carefully across that piece of wood, face down, and pushed out all of the wrinkles, and then I put a couple of paper towels on top of that, and then I put a heavy set of books. I put literally like 1.5 feet of books on top of it. I want it to be pressed absolutely and completely against that piece of wood, and I left it for 24 hours. So it's absolutely dry, and the goal is that it will have transferred the picture to the wood. I then take the completely dry project and I take and dip my fingers in water and start rubbing it around and rubbing off that paper. This is why you want the cheap paper. If you use expensive paper, it's going to take a lot longer and you may rub out the design underneath. But in this case, that design is into that wood, and I am very, very pleased with the result. So you just keep rubbing it until all the bits of paper are gone. And, you know, I thought, I'm going to try this and it's not going to turn out perfect, and then I'm going to have to do it again and again and again until I get it right. First time, this just absolutely worked. So then I built a little frame, and then I said, okay, I want a door that makes this a surprise. We're going to see, you know, loved ones behind the door. Mommies are going to be behind the door. Well, okay, then I decided the inside of the door should have a little felt. So I got some 1mm felt, which is very thin, but they sell it on Amazon. Stiff felt is what you're looking for. So the stiff 1mm felt, or 1.1 or something like that. And so I put the felt on the inside so that the picture is protected from the wood and maybe moving around and scratching, opening and closing, so forth and so on. Now we have the outside where I've got a little door. I have the latch, which, you know, with 19 coats of paint and you put it on a windowsill, it's really hard to open. But when they're brand new, they're super easy to open and close, and they make a nice little noise when you open. And then on the where I put the nuts for the bolts for the hinges, I also decided, well, I've got these little retainer things. I'll just put those on there, and we put in a stretchy rubber band that can be used for holding back your hair, or it's just stretchy and fun to play with if you're a 1-year-old. That the whole package of those is $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. And then we open it up, and there are the mommies looking absolutely beautiful, and I think it turned out really, really good. I forgot to reverse the picture, so it is in fact reversed because I didn't reverse it on the printout, so it's reversed on the wood. But with luck, the kid won't figure it out until she's 18. The next challenge I had is that they wanted a moving doorknob. So I found a a pair of glass doorknobs in excellent condition. You know, I was talking to one of my brothers, and he said, well, you know, we had those in our house when we were growing up. I don't remember any of them not having a chip on them. But this one's in excellent shape, no chips on it, and it was just a matter of figuring out how to make it rotate, because I needed a shaft that I could put something on in the back, or I could either screw a nut on there or whatever. The standard thread is not like a standard bolt thread, so what I eventually did is I found a dowel that worked perfectly. It was exactly the right diameter, and I was able to screw it in there and then tighten the set screw on the doorknob so it is not coming out. And then I just had to put the dowel through a little shim, so it's got a column to go through, and it turns quite nicely, and it works great. And it's easy. That's a big thing. It's easy for a baby to play with. And then we get your standard chain lock, which is beautiful because it makes lots of noise. Another hair tie, which I put on one of these little floaty, super soft, cool things that's, this one's from Skechers. And it's just an advertisement or a keychain, I guess. Anyway, I put that on there. The round circle is the middle of a hard drive. Whether you know it or not, this is what the middle of a 5 1/4 inch hard drive looks like. That's the part that stores the data. It's a piece of very thick metal with this really great coating, so it's quite mirror-like. The middle is made from clay, bakeable clay. I just molded it into a little cone shape, and I pressed it into the hard drive so that that hole is filled up with clay, and it sticks out on both sides, kind of flattened it down to the extent that I could. And then I baked it at 275 for whatever, 15 minutes. And when it was all dry, I was able to drill a hole in the middle, no problem, and put a spindle in there so that it can spin. I might put some googly eyes or something on there just so the baby can see that it's actually spinning, because it's such a great mirror. She can see herself, but when it spins, she won't be able to tell visually that it's spinning. Anyway, I've got to figure something out. Then on this side, we have a couple of carabiners, and Uncle John gave us these little noise-makey things, right? I forgot what they're called. But anyway, that's a great toy, and that one unclips and it can be put onto the chain or to one of these stretchy things or whatever. It can be placed on different places. So this board has a few things that are more flexible and can be moved around and be sort of upgradable versus the last busy board. Also hanging from there, we have the pull for a lamp. The other side of it, now that goes all the way through the board twice, so it's not too long. There's no way for her to wrap it around her neck. And this piece, I might just cut it off. I haven't figured out what to do with that, or if I want to figure out how to put something else on there. This is a good one. This is a wheel that it spins as regular. It's a caster, and it also goes around and around. Now that one had a long piece that needed to go through the board, and so I was like, one of the challenges is I don't want it sticking out a long ways in the back. That's fine. I just took a piece of 3/4 inch wood, put it on the old scroll saw, and made a little heart, drilled a hole through it, and away we go. Then we have your standard noise-making lock, and over here we have a lamp. I think that one is from Harbor Freight. Again, I had to put foam on it because it is so ridiculously bright it'll blind yourself or your child, so don't do that. And then another heart holds the place where I can put a doorstop in here, screw it through, and it doesn't go out the back except a tiny, tiny bit that I ground off with the Dremel. Best part about the last busy board and this busy board is the doorstop. I might just get one and screw it into the top of my desk because they're fun. And then we have some keys. Now I went down to the Ace Hardware, my local Ace Hardware, and I said, hey, I'm building a busy board. Have you got a bunch of junk? Have you got anything, a pile of stuff that I can look through? And they're like, no, hardware stores aren't like that anymore. And she said, but we do have miscut keys. And so she gave me a handful of miscut keys. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And then I got one that's obviously not a new key. It's just some decorative thing. But then she gave me some miscut keys. And then I've got a beer opener, which might take up too much space. I don't know. But again, that's one of those things. The number of keys, how much crap is on that keychain can all change. What's that noise you keep hearing? Well, this is a little funnel, and it makes noise when you ding on it. That's the other thing about these little micro cymbals, is that if they're over there, they can bang against that one and make some noise there as well. So I put that on with a little screw so that it's got a loop inside there, and that way it can hold it in place and she can spin it, you know, when she gets to the point where she can spin it. This is just a small dog collar that she can someday learn how to open that latch. Behind it is a shim from some construction work and felt just to hold it in place. That's all screwed into place. Here's another cool thing. So this one, that's a great noise maker. These are the innards from hard drives that I took apart. There's the spindle in the middle that holds the drive disk actually in place. And then there's these little shims that are hollow, and I just rotated them back and forth. They're all made of either metal, like iron, with aluminum, or they're just plain aluminum. Either way, they're lightweight and they're quite noisy, which is cool. Took a U-bolt, put that in there, and the back of the U-bolt is not attached to anything, so that'll be great fun for a baby. Down here is just a piece of fluff from a brush. I found a brush that's got super, super soft fluff so that it won't scratch up your car or window or whatever. I just cut off a piece of that and glued it on there. This one is a basting brush for a barbecue, right? So that's pretty cool. And then, oh, the last thing. I forgot about that. Over here on the side is a piece of Velcro that I just glued the bottom part down, and then the top part, I cut it a little short and folded it over and glued it together so that it sticks out, and it's fun, it's tactile, and it makes a bunch of noise. So now I might move these over here so they're not in the way over here. Anyway, it's all good fun. Might need to have a few tune-ups, but I think it's pretty good the way it is. With luck, they'll love it. With luck, we'll think of another one, and maybe in 6 months or so, we'll make another busy board for a 1.5-year-old. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like it if you like it. Subscribe to the channel. I've got a whole playlist full of how-to stuff. This is my second busy board video, but I do have some other fun things. So check it out if you're interested. Thank you. Have a spectacular day.